Hey everybody, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Sorry about the lighting right now in the living room here. The light's behind me, unfortunately, on the couch, so just have to deal with it. Let's see, first I want to apologize for the audio last week. I didn't realize that happened, and as everyone was responding with their messages letting me know that there was no audio and it was just music, I was already on my way up north to deer camp for a few days, and I have no cell phone service up there. So if you didn't get a chance to watch last week's, go ahead and rewatch it. I fixed it, I put the video up and made the corrections, and I took the old one down, so you can't even get to that one anymore. Anyway, enough of that. We're off to a beer. Here's the Fat Tire clone. This is the third time. Came out really good. This one aged for about it's more older than that. I don't even know when that was finished. Let me take a look here. I got it up on the system. Brew log. This last batch. This was brewed back in August, so it's been sitting for a little while. As you can see, it's not too terribly clear. Not sure why. I do know chill, so there could be protein in there, could be chill haze. Lord only knows, because whatever, I don't care. It still tastes good, it's not ruining the beer. Nice biscuity flavor coming through. At first it was really chocolatey, and now the biscuit's coming through. And I'm guessing if I warm it up more, the biscuit will come through even further. But anyway, what's going on? The Belgian's brewing away. It's been sitting in the primary for 2 weeks. It's time for it to go into secondary. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But before we get to that, I want to show you something here on Beersmith, because some guys, primarily Chubby Glutton from Shadow Beast Brewery, go check out his videos. I'll put a link down below if I remember. He mentioned he wants to try doing a Belgian, and if there were any tips I had. Well, the first tip I have really comes down to the candy sugar. If you're going to use candy sugar in it, when do you add it and everything like that? Some people add it right at the end of the boil, and if you are going to add it into your boil, that's when I would do it. That's when I did it. Actually, I no-chilled this batch, so I poured the sugar right into the fermentation vessel, and then I put the wort on top of it and then let it sit overnight and pitch the yeast the next day. That way, just in case if there were any bugs, which I know they're not, the sugar I used was a liquid sugar, and it comes pre-packaged in sterile environment, sterile conditions and everything. But anyway, with that, I put it in there, and that if there were any bugs or whatever, that would take care of it. Another thing that I also consider doing, and I've read a lot of people doing, especially on the stronger ones, maybe not on a double, but more a triple, is you may want to add your sugar, or you can do it on a double too, depends on how strong you're going, but add your sugar into the fermentation vessel primary after 3 to 4 days of fermentation. Usually you get it started, and depending on, you kind of keep an eye on it. After about 3 to 4 days, your fermentation will slow down, and you're going to want to add your sugar in then, and it'll kick it back up again, and let it sit. Another tip that I can recommend is let it ferment in primary for at least 2 weeks. The stronger you get, the longer it gets. So 2 to 3 weeks. I'm doing 2 weeks on this batch. I'm going to put it in secondary, and it'll probably sit in secondary for 2 weeks, and then they'll keg it, and it'll sit in the keg for a month or so before I even get to it. Like I said, this one was brewed back end of August, and I'm just now hitting the keg, and I still have some of my IPA left downstairs, and also the pumpkin porter, which is starting to mellow out, getting a nice chocolate note to it. Still not what I'm looking for, but we're going to work on that recipe. The second tip I have has to do with Beersmith and brewing in Belgium. So let's take a look at that, and we'll head on downstairs and look at the beer and look at some numbers in the transfer. This may be a little difficult, a little shaky, I'm sorry. But one thing, when brewing a Belgian, if you use Beersmith, is looking at your estimated gravity and your candy sugar. Now with this one, because I put the candy sugar into the primary, you know, when I took the numbers, it came out perfectly 16 Play-Doh. Now, watch what happens if I remove this. So I delete that. Now I'm down to 14.5. Now this is important because the tip I mentioned, if you're not putting your sugar in until 3 days into fermentation, that number also changes in here. So estimated original gravity would be 14.5. Now, say 3 days, if I were to have that candy sugar in there, here we'll add it back in. Add green. Oh, don't freeze up on me. Let's go sugar. See if I can find it. Candy sugar. I used clear for this recipe. And I put add after the boil. You can put whatever you want. Late extract, boil time, all that good stuff. But anyway. Alright, so it's back up to 16 down here on the estimated. And it also does that in here for your estimated original gravity. Now that's important because if you use a refractometer like me, I was looking at my boil rate and I kind of check everything as I go before I make hop additions. So, you know, I'll do my 60-minute hop addition right off the bat. That doesn't matter. But for my aroma and flavor hops, you know, I want to make sure I'm going to be hitting my volume and my gravities. So I'll take the refractometer and kind of check them, crunch the math real quick in my head, you know, to see if it's where it's supposed to be. And before I add it in, you know, if I have to boil more, then I'll let it sit. I'll let it boil a little bit before I go and finish it up. If I've overboiled, I'll just add water to it later, so not a big deal. But I'm just trying to be as accurate and precise as possible. So with that, I almost screwed this batch up and overboiled it because I was trying to hit this 16 for the end of the boil, when really I didn't need to be shooting for 16. That would have been way under on volume and all that. And as you can see, I haven't even plugged the numbers in here, which isn't cool because I got to figure that out now. Forgot all about it. Actually, I have them stored somewhere else, so not a big deal. But yeah, so I hit my, I hit all my numbers down here, no problem. That came out to 16. But yeah, if I would have been wanting to add that candy sugar in 3 days later, the volume I would have been, or the original gravity I would have been looking for was like 14.5, I believe it was, that you saw in there. So just a tip. If you're going to be adding your sugar in later, just go in here, delete it off of there. That way, for your boil and everything else, you're looking to hit these numbers. Estimated original gravity would be 14.5 because you're going to add the sugar in later, and you don't want to account for that in your boil because it'll mess your numbers up and you'll be scratching your head wondering what you did wrong. So if that was too confusing, shoot me a message. I'll try and clean it up a little bit. But we're going to head downstairs and take a look at the beer. Cheers.
Alright guys, so here we are down in the brew house, finishing up, well, racking the Dirty Belgian over to secondary. It's been in primary now for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And in primary we got it down to 4.0 Play-Doh. And if it stays right there, that gives us 6.6 ABV. Hopefully we can get it lower in secondary. I know these Belgians do take some time to ferment out all the way. So yeah, we got that going right now. Let's go take a look at what we have over here. As you can see, it's got a nice brown color. You can see through it. Just bad light down here right now, but it's fairly clear right now. It's just looking good. And over here we'll walk over and we got it racking away into the secondary carboy out of the primary, and it should have right around 5.5 gallons of it once I get done racking. So, but hopefully it'll finish fermenting out. But let's take a little taste of this bad boy and see what we got.
Alright, so here we got it. We'll take a quick taste and then we'll head back upstairs. On the nose, you're getting a little bit of clove, not much. I mean, it's not carbonated, so it'll pick up more than I'm assuming on the nose.
Got a lot of clove flavor. Well, I can't say a lot. It's really well balanced. It's still kind of sweet. But honestly, it's very drinkable. I do hope it dries out more just to get the ABV up where it should be. But got clove, not a whole lot of banana. There's actually quite a bit of plum flavor in there, I think, is what I'm getting. Some dark fruits. But hopefully in secondary, it'll kick a little of that yeast back up in there, because I'm siphoning right off the bottom of the bucket. So just put a little bit of yeast back in suspension and finish drying it up. But that's the Dirty Belgian. It's looking good. We'll let it set as secondary probably for a week or two, and then call her finished. Let's head back upstairs and we'll talk to you guys later. So with that being concluded, I want to say cheers, 17, and happy Homebrew Wednesday. I hope that wasn't too confusing with the candy sugar. It's kind of hard to explain, but I did my best and I think it makes sense. I'm going to finish this and head off to bed. Like I said, happy Homebrew Wednesday, and we'll talk to you hopefully next week. Cheers. Heaven in a glass.